and want to make any type of money or even continue, I mean,
You
it
think she
should have
should have
been.
said that with Andy?
She should have sat down with Andy,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
um, or a major content creator that talks on like a Dave Quinn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's and also ask for money for it. Like my God.
Yeah. That to me, that's the bare minimum. Is that not like
Hmm.
who's her team at this point? Should we be mad at her team and not her? Because how are y'all allowing her to just go and do stupid shit like this and not say, hey, there's a contract for this that we have in place. There's like, forms that you can send over, like, hey, these are our terms before
And
we
it
show up and sit
and
down.
and not only that, it was like she was like, she says that like Bravo really like wanted her back or,
Hmm.
for like closure. And I understand. I would not go back there. I would not go back to that show. I don't think I could go back to that cast. But I do feel like, what if she gave it, even though they're filming right now? Because I think that's really what's irking her. She's seeing, like the paparazzi, she's seeing, you know, people really still benefiting off of this thing, you
Off
know,
of this story.
and she's not getting it. But I honestly would have I would have taken it a different angle. I would have taken it to, she's still gone for a while, but they've hired a small production team to follow her as she rebuilds her life in Arizona and
Hmm.
blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't, because the thing is like she almost kind of like blames production for saying like, you know they said if the more drama I had, the bigger the checks, the more screen time. And I just had no idea, like she was so innocent. I, Rachel, you were on there for 6 seasons prior to
You
that.
were not innocent and you know exactly how this shit worked. Maybe the first year I'll give her that. Maybe the first
Year
year.
one as James' girlfriend,
Maybe
right? Maybe.
maybe the first year.
But
But
you were
even
on
after
5 seasons after that.
you know exactly what the fuck is going on. Everybody in reality TV, even people outside that are not watching, you know that a lot of this stuff is, yes, they're going to hype it up and put a little extra on it for the ratings because people like drama. That's just what it is. It's entertainment.
Right,
We
but
like
that doesn't
entertainment. We
mean
don't want to
have
be
like.
bored.
Right, and you guys had, it's not like you had that affair for camera. You hid it
Right.
while on camera.
Yeah. So my thing with her and blaming production and her mental health, while I do agree that I'm sure that was a lot to take on mentally, and
Mhm.
I'm never going to downplay anybody's mental health when it comes to that. But I think that she's also using it in a way as an excuse and as a way to kind of garner more sympathy, as like the sympathy is kind of like wavering from people
Mhm.
now. I feel
Mhm.
like that's a part of it for her because you knew you were having this affair. You knew the different things that were going on with Ariana in her life at the time, and you still managed to be in scenes and laugh and pretend to be supportive. You found a way to do that. You can
Right.
find a way to go give these people closure and get an additional check. You
Right?
could have easily did that. That's
You
my
know
my
what?
argument there with that
Here we
part.
go. Okay, let's do a quick breakdown, right? So, for the people who don't watch Vanderpump Rules, right? Just know that these characters, you can place them in main characters of like groups of people that you saw, your
Hmm.
actual friends, the cast
Hmm.
of Friends. People have used the cast of Living Single. Um, just picture a crew, right? Okay, so here's a quick recap. The first thing Bethenny asked here, okay, you know what? Sorry. This is why no lip woman kills me. Because, and I mean specifically Bethenny Frankel, you are going to say, I think on the interview, she was like, it takes strength, or sometimes finally a woman has her voice, right? To post this episode. But it was like the Howie Mandel interview with Tom Sandoval. She says first thing that she never watched the show, that she thinks it's essentially trash, and that she only got into it because of Sandoval. And so the first thing Bethenny asks is, "How are you?" And Rachel lets out a dramatic sigh, and she says, "I'm okay, hanging in there."
the voice.
It's been a whirlwind. It's been chaos. I've taken the time to reflect on my actions, have come to a place where it makes sense to me. Okay? She said, Rachel says she wanted to take time away because of the loudness, chaos, and vitriol. We can see a trend already. Okay. She went to the facility to understand why I am choosing men that are unavailable, why I am choosing unhealthy relationships, and what do I need to do to change my behavior. Here we go. Bethenny says she never watched Vanderpump Rules, but only saw clips. And yet, this is Rachel's first sit down interview
with someone who literally has just admitted has no prior knowledge to anything
right
surrounding the show.
Right.
Doesn't watch it, but this person is going to moderate, guide the conversation.
Right.
But, okay, we'll continue.
Right. Bethenny then, of course, starts going on about her PR reckoning. Rachel says that the show is edited and contrived to create a storyline that isn't all factual.
That's how reality TV works, but okay.
Rachel says people had a lot of projection because affairs hit close to home, and that's why they had such big reactions to Scandival, and that she was used as the punching bag.
You're not the victim here at all, but okay.
I'm not going to do her voice because I can't during this apology, but here we go. I want to take a moment to just acknowledge the hurt I brought to a lot of people. I was not careful in my actions and was not thinking long term. I was completely wrapped in heartbreak and wanted certain needs met. I was still healing from a relationship with someone I thought I would marry, and I was healing. During filming, I was drinking a lot to ease that anxiety in a reality TV environment. I wasn't getting that safe space to cope in a healthy way. Bethenny says, people say you sign up for this, and it's hard for people to even like Andy Cohen to understand what it's like to be filmed on a reality show. You say something and then never know what will be manufactured in the kitchen and served. That's what Bethenny said. And then Bethenny says, how does it feel to tell your story with your voice? Rachel, the person I saw on my TV is out of character of who I truly am. And having the chance to represent myself in a way I feel like is true to who I am and all I could ever ask for. Okay. Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's just skip on because we know we've already talked about her changing the name, right? So then it gets to Rachel saying that her mom is torn up over this. Rachel feels guilty for putting her family in this situation, grateful to them for giving her the opportunity to go to a mental health treatment. She is very shaky, right? Bethenny asked about how it's been with childhood friends. Rachel says they are the only people she can trust. She says so many people revealed confidential information since this, and that she realized she can no longer trust them, and that it's been hard to accept. She has no friends in LA anymore. Any friend that posted only in support of her or followed her got so much hate that some unfollowed her just to avoid the hatred.
They didn't want the association.
Right? It says Bethenny reads Rachel's apology and asks if the apology is accurate today and if Rachel felt like she had to say it because she had to say something. Is it authentic? Rachel says she stands by her apology. Rachel learned in therapy that she has a love addiction where you confuse intensity with intimacy, and explains that she couldn't stop seeing Tom. She says it doesn't excuse her behavior, but it helps her understand it. And then Bethenny says the environment she was in celebrated affairs and scandals. Really?
Oh my God. Okay.
Let's see. She leaves the reunion, and what happens? She says she did the last 5 minutes of the reunion that we saw, and that it was hard for her to realize she betrayed and alienated everyone, and then especially Tom. She wasn't able to even be fully honest then, right?
Okay.
Finally admits to seeing his family and friends in St. Louis. Says she refuses to compromise any longer going forward. Honesty will not be compromised. She went to the facility, and then Bethenny asked her, do you forgive yourself? And Rachel says that she does. And what made her speak to her? Anyone else would do this interview. Of course, you would have to say it that way, Bethenny, because you were just so that woman, right? Because all of your projects after Real Housewives did not work, but you're so important that she had to do
Right.
this interview. And Rachel says, now I am going to do it in this voice, and then we'll discuss. You are a force to be reckoned with, and how you used my case as an example of reality TV exploitation and the way that the network is running to the bank, and I haven't seen a single penny. It's not fair. And I've been portrayed as the ultimate villain where my mistakes are displayed on camera forever. Bethenny then likens filming to being on heroin. Wow. Right? Rachel confirms she won't be going on the show. And Bethenny says Rachel couldn't afford her treatment bills. Bethenny claims Rachel gets paid less than her interns. And Rachel told her she gets paid based on her performance for the season prior. So she wanted to perform it well. She wanted to stand out and embrace it. Okay. She got paid $361,000 this season.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, Bethenny, what are you paying your interns? Right? And that was part one. And there were also so many ads, right, during these episodes.
I definitely saw that.
So, Bethenny, you're trying to make money because you want to, you know what I mean? Like, you're profiting off of this because how much is Rachel getting paid?
$0. I mean,
Right?
I don't know that to be true, but I feel like it's close to that.
I really don't think so.
Or it's very little.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Like slim to none.
Yeah.
That I totally believe.
I don't think it has anything to do with let me give Rachel a voice. I think that that's far from it. I think it's I need a guest of some substance with some popularity that's trending in some sort of way. Let me see how this works for me. I don't think it had anything to do with let's hear her out.
Right? So then Bethenny says, the world thinks you slept with your best friend's boyfriend of 10 years. And Rachel says, yes, that's the narrative that is being written for me. It is more salacious that way. Ariana and I were not best friends. We were acquaintances that became friends through the show. She stood up for me, encouraged me to pursue things, and that was great. But we never had deep conversations like best friends have. I wasn't trying to hurt her or be a malicious person. I was wrapped up and not thinking clearly. We were not best friends. Sheena was one of my best friends. She offered her apartment to me for me to stay in, but she created this fake narrative that she was this sister I never had, that I didn't pay rent, and that she took me in when no one wouldn't. I did her podcast, which is to date her most listened to podcast. Wow. Unfortunately, she's trying to create this narrative that I took advantage of her in a way when it feels like she contributed in a mutually beneficial way. Wow. And then it says, how sorry are you to Ariana? And she says, I don't expect her to forgive me. Once trust is broken, it's hard to come back. I don't expect her